In the previous episode, we discussed the general situation of the US educational system. Right now, we should definitely discuss the situation of the multilingual learners of English. Can you please start with sharing your experience?
I remember, just to brief anecdote, I remember my first day in the US, especially when I entered the school. But, we have to remember that I'm from Cuba, so our schools are very tiny. They're usually an old house that was remade into a school. But then when my dad took me into the school, I saw this huge building. So I was already very scared because, again, I was new environment, new country, new language. Everything was new. I didn't know anyone. I was disoriented. Too much going on. It was a lot of English, and I didn't know anything about English. So the sounds were not familiar. The building was not familiar. Even the AC was different. So that is all to say that the first day in school was terrifying for me. And I think that's what a lot of MLEs feel when they go to the US. Many people think that we're just focusing on academics and yes, of course, we're focusing on the fact that we cannot fully participate in school, in the classroom. But before that, we also have to think about MLEs' social emotional struggles that comes with being a multilingual learner of English in a new environment, in a new country. It was terrifying.
I observe my kid right now. He's starting a school in Poland, and I see how stressful it is for him with the language that he knows, with even his friends that he took with him from the kindergarten. So I imagine it is much worse if you don't know anything, and it's a completely new situation for you, new society, new community.
Yes, it can be very scary, very isolating. You can feel very lonely also. These are some of the struggles that, and thank you for that question, because these are some of the struggles that we don't realize as teachers, as researchers, as stakeholders, administrators. These are real challenges that children, multilingual learners of English, have and are experiencing in schools that we don't talk about. And this is part of the educational experience. We cannot just leave it outside of the door and okay, I'm not going to feel lonely or scared anymore. No, you bring that with you into the classroom. So it affects also your academic performance as well, because you're bringing how you feel to the learning environment. That's going to affect and interact with how you learn as well.
And this may end up in leading to a silent period.
Yes, and that's very common for language learners. We go through a silent period. We also go through what we call cultural shock. So you're shocked by the difference of cultures. I went through that as well. The silent period comes for many, many reasons. For me, it was the fact that I felt very, very intimidated by the new environment. The fact that I did not know a word of English. I did not even know the colors. Nothing. I started from zero. And it was very intimidating. So we go through that silent period, which affects not only our participation in schools, but also our performance, our academic performance as well.
It is language barriers, academic struggle, lack of support, and cultural differences, and adjusting to a new system. By that I mean understanding policies and regulations, requirements.
Yes.
How would you comment on that?
Yes, I mean, and those are fantastic points. Something as little as, in going to for example, the topic of language barriers. When I went to school, no one explained to me in Spanish, Luis, in the US, children, students, they change, we call it periods, every class, every period, you go from one classroom to another classroom. In Cuba, teachers rotated, for example. So that for me was a culture shock that came from language barrier because no one explained it to me.
And what about the support that you required, that you needed? Did you get it? And do students right now get it?
There isn't a unified answer especially for the US. It's so large and we have so many states, we have so many districts, school districts. I would like to think that yes, but I do know that in many school districts, many students do not get it. And at the end of the day, teachers, and I'm commenting from my experience as a teacher, teachers, we do the best we can. We try to use the resources that we have, which is usually our own students, that they are multilingual, they are our linguistic resource, and we try to pair students with other students, but we do the best we can.
So I imagine that feeling left alone result in big stress. So it affects students' social emotional life, but it's probably also affecting, as you said yourself, their academic achievements, right?
Yes, it's difficult for migrant families, for MLEs, to connect, to integrate into their school system and into society if they do not feel part of it. So integration, making connections, building a community, that's essential for integration for success.
That means all the stakeholders should be involved, right? Not only teachers, but administration, providing the right resources, educating students, but also their families.
Yes, ideally, we would have support from all levels: federal, state, school district, administrators, teachers, community, parents. That's ideally the best way to support MLEs. Yes, that would be fantastic if we could have that.
Academic progress and social and emotional life of students is basically all their life.
Yes, and in the US, languages are very important, especially English is very important. So learning English is essential for better opportunities professionally, personally speaking. So in the long term, we do see that MLEs who learn languages, learn English at a faster rate and or become fully proficient in English, they do have in the long term more opportunities in life, professionally speaking.
I'm sure you have a lot to share with us. I'm sorry, but we have to wrap up. From what I see, again, the multilingual learner's situation is very complex. Complex is probably the most common word we use in here, but that's how it is, right?
It is.
We thank you for watching the video, and please stay tuned for the next episode where we will discuss the migrant families situation in the US.